All right. Here we go. Back again on the other side of the coin. I've got two lovely gentlemen. They're back here in this particular channel again. I'm so glad to have them. First of all, I've got Nischal and I've also got Ameya. We're all here today, of course, for the match preview of the Champions League match between Chelsea versus Krasnodar, which not that much hype going around for this particular match. We'll get into it. But first of all, Nischal, how are you, my man?
I'm very well. Yeah, lockdown's changing. The COVID situation's very different in the UK, but I'm doing well, thank you.
Brilliant. Amir, my man, it's been long since our the Blue Stand sort of podcast sort of took a bit of break. You had some exams going on as well. How's things now?
Yeah, it's fine. Done with the exams. Finally got that out of the way. So yeah, getting back to normal right now. That's it.
Brilliant. Jam, thanks for being the first one in this particular stream from like 20 minutes ago. Jam was ready. He was waiting eagerly. Thank you so much, Jam, for coming in. But yeah, guys, let's get into this conversation of this match preview. First of all, what I want to talk to you guys about is, the normal stuff. Who's in, who's out. Going back from, what Frank was talking about in the press conference. Let's look at the players that are out, and I'll go to Nischal first. Ziyech was the normal one that we all knew was going to be out. He took a hamstring injury against Leeds. It was quite understandable that he wasn't going to be available for this match, perhaps not even in the next one. I don't know if anyone's got any latest news on him yet, but he might be out for a couple of weeks, probably, if it's not too severe. But Nischal, the biggest shock for me was Hudson-Odoi. That came off a bit of a shock. I don't know if anyone knew about that. And I feel really, really sad about this particular player because I was looking so much for him to start because he was doing so well against Rennes. I mean, what's your thoughts about Hudson-Odoi missing out on this opportunity?
I mean, it's a real shame not to see him play. I was eager to see him start just as much. He's not been as much as a first-team player this season, but when he's played, he's done brilliantly. We just have to look at the Europa League games. The reverse leg in Krasnodar, he played really well, got the opening goal. And, it's a massive shame that he's not playing today. It would be brilliant to see him. But then you have to see that we're down 2 fit wingers. We haven't got Ziyech and we haven't got Hudson-Odoi. And in a time where we need to rotate and, make sure that everyone's getting a rest and everyone's getting minutes, it's annoying that we only have 2 fit wingers, maybe even one, because obviously they're having to move out wide. So I think as much as it's disappointing not to see Callum Hudson-Odoi, it's more disappointing the fact that we have to use pretty much our first choice wingers because we have no one else. We have to use them in a game which, let's be honest, doesn't really matter. And we've got much more important games coming up.
Nah, spot on, man. I mean, it's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? Like we would have loved to see Callum get those minutes and keep building on those performances. Now we don't have him. And now we have to use Timo Werner because Pulisic is the only fit out-and-out winger. So it's pretty much guaranteed Werner unless there's a surprise package of Tino Angerine. I think that's how you pronounce it, Angerine or Angerine. I don't know, Angerine maybe, if he comes in. But yeah, it's a good point. Amir, your thoughts about the whole, when you heard that Hudson-Odoi is injured, I mean, did you feel for this particular player, man?
Yeah, I honestly did. I generally catch his Frank Lampard's press conferences, but then yesterday I had to miss it because of a couple of reasons. And then, I just opened my Twitter feed and the first thing I see all over is that Hudson-Odoi is out for tomorrow. I was absolutely gutted to hear that especially because, as Nischal mentioned, he's found game time very hard to come by this season, and rightfully so. I mean, the other players are putting in a better shift at the moment. So he was finding it so hard to come by. And I think this would have been the perfect game. If I were to compare this game to a game which we previously had, it would probably be the Barnsley game. Everyone just basically treated it as a friendly, and then Havertz got a hat trick. And we didn't even hit, the maximum gear which we could. And this game as well, I think it would have been the perfect opportunity for Hudson-Odoi, and he scored against Rennes too. So I was really looking forward to giving him I was actually hoping he could start as well, but I think he wasn't included in the match day squad in the weekend as well, so that was disappointing. But was he injured then? I don't think Frank mentioned that, but yeah, it's really disappointing that he got injured right before this game, because I think this would have been the perfect opportunity for him, really.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that's the point that sort of hurt me a lot. The fact that he wasn't part of the Leeds victory. So I was really looking forward for him to be part of this. But nonetheless, it is what it is. Guys, let's talk a little bit about players that are in, which is a bit of a hot topic. I'll go to Nischal first. Our man Kepa is back. He is confirmed starting, Nischal. Frank Lampard is so confident of this particular keeper. He told Krasnodar in the press conference, it is not going to be Mendy. It is Kepa starting. Eat your hearts out, Krasnodar. How do you feel about that?
I knew there was going to be a rotation, and especially in goal. The question was, would we go back to Willy Caballero, or would we give Kepa another chance? And I'll hold my hands up. I said Caballero. I wanted it. I am surprised that Kepa's getting the game, but good for him. First game since October. Obviously, it's been very hard for him, understandably. But it's really interesting to see him, get another game. Of course, as we said, the game has less significance because we've won the group. But giving Kepa that chance, he's got a massive, massive task ahead of him. Because realistically, there's nothing to lose. But on the other hand, there's so much to lose because Kepa's got to prove himself once again, like game after game after game. And we've already seen, unfortunately, too many times this season where he's shown, to be really blunt, he's not good enough to be Chelsea's first choice goalkeeper this season. Yeah. So seeing how he does against the team who's already out of the Champions League, with a team who's conceded, I think, 1 goal in the group stage so far, if memory serves me correctly. So I'm really interested to see how Kepa does.
I think so. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, I think we've only conceded 1
against Rennes. Yeah, against Rennes.
Against Rennes. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a tough task for Kepa to come in. And the crazy part is, someone tweeted it out a few days ago, guys, where they looked at all the goals that we've conceded this season so far, and almost like 80 or 90% was before Mendy. So once Mendy came in, there was barely any more conceding. It's a tough task for Kepa to come in. I'm glad he got an opportunity, honestly, guys. Hopefully he has a good game and he can come back to some sort of positive frame of mind. He's obviously copped a lot of stuff in recent times, and obviously Mendy coming in and Mendy absolutely storming it, would have been very daunting for someone like Kepa to see, my God, this guy is just, making a mockery of me, because he's literally just saving everything and he's so commanding. He's a boss. He's the beast. So hopefully, guys, he can perform well. Ameya, the next one I want to talk to you about is Billy Gilmour, another one. Frank Lampard, from the get-go in the press conference, said that he is starting. Billy Gilmour is starting. So the question that I want to throw to you is, where does he start, in your opinion?
Well, I think it's a very tricky situation, this, because for me personally, I would prefer him as the number 6. If we do go with the 4-3-3 system, I think that's where he excelled against Liverpool in the FA Cup match as well. The match in which he announced himself to the rest of the Premier League. So I think that for me, that is his best role. And I think after that as well, he did play as a number 8.
Everton as well, I think he was number 6.
Exactly. Yeah. He was a 6 against Everton, which we won 4-0 as well. Another fantastic performance. And then I think after that, in the quarterfinals against Leicester in the FA Cup, I think he played as a number 8, but then he had a pretty poor showing and had to be subbed off at halftime, I think, if I'm not wrong. So I think that for me personally, it would be as the number 6. But then considering the team, I'm pretty sure Jorginho is going to start this game and get so I think that with Jorginho starting as well, I think we could see Gilmour as the 8, logically speaking, because you can't play Jorginho as an 8. That's just not feasible. So I think that keeping that in mind, I would prefer him to start as an 8 if Jorginho does start as the number 6. But then otherwise, for me, if he's going to start, Kovacic or Mount or maybe even Kai Havertz. So if he's going to start either of them, then I absolutely wouldn't mind benching Jorginho and playing Gilmour as the 6. Although, he's not the most physical midfielder, but he gets the job done. And he's just because he's not physical doesn't mean that he's not willing to put up a fight. We could see in the Liverpool game, especially, just because he's a little bit weak and not as tall as the other physical midfielders, which are generally associated with the defensive midfielder position. Yeah. He's really great. He goes for every ball. He tries to win every header, and he never backs out from a fight. So I think all that exactly. Yeah, so I think that he could be a good fit for the number 6 role, but I've had so many disagreements over this, especially on Twitter. So I'm open to discussion, but I think that for me personally, it would be the number 6. But if Jorginho does feature, then it would be as the number 8, I think.
Nischal, this is the poll question I just tweeted out maybe a few hours ago, because it got me started to think. As soon as Frank sort of said that Billy Gilmour was starting, I was sort of thinking, just like what Ameya said, for me, Billy Gilmour is strong in that DM position, and he's got that attacking aids. So he's got that deep lying sort of playmaking, and he's very good in defensive awareness and positioning and whatnot. But then I kind of thought that, how can Jorginho not play this match? He hasn't played. How can you not play someone in this particular match? What's your thoughts? Do you think Frank is definitely going to play Jorginho, or do you think he's going to play Billy Gilmour in Jorginho's position and then perhaps have what Ameya was saying, either a Kovacic or whoever else, on Mason Mount? But then there goes the rotation side of things. What's your thoughts happening around this whole situation?
I think he's going to fit Jorginho in one way or another, because Thiago Silva will get a rest. Azpilicueta might start, but we're not sure. So Jorginho could be playing, pretty much to be captain. I agree with Ameya about Billy Gilmour being the 6. As an 8, he can do a job. But then again, we've got better options up there. I think we're going to do a 4-3-3 with 2 6s, or we'll go to a 4-2-3-1 and play them together, because I want to see Billy Gilmour and Jorginho complement each other. We've seen it before, and they do really well, because you've got Jorginho is a bit more of an intelligent player, I'd say, at this point, whereas Gilmour is a bit more flary in that sense. So I'd love to see them play together again. It's a perfect opportunity too. The only question is, can we do 2 6 together? Honestly, why not? There'll be points in the season where, let's say we're winning 1-0 in a Champions League semi-final, and we've got 2 8s and a 6, but we need to drop back and be more defensive. And that's where we maybe bring Jorginho or Gilmour on and drop back, so we have 2 defensive midfield. So, this is a perfect game to test it. How do they complement each other? How do they play next to each other in these positions? And, we've seen it before. We've seen how they both play very well with each other. And, of course, Gilmour starts, but it would be great to see Jorginho start too. So I'd say, 2 6s works for me. That's great to see it tonight.
I have to agree with you, because I was sort of thinking with the profiles of both of these players that it has to be a double pivot, and they complement each other. Billy Gilmour is a little bit more mobile than Jorginho, so he can help out. If Jorginho gets caught out, Billy Gilmour can help out. And Billy Gilmour's, as I said, his defensive awareness is very good. He's a very, very good defensive-minded player. And him along with Jorginho, if we are playing that possession-based kind of football, it's perfect. Like, you're not going to lose the ball when these two. And it kind of allows Kai Havertz to play the number 10. He needs those minutes. He's been away with, we can't say that particular word. I'll get demonetized if I say that word, but we all know what we are talking about. YouTube's crazy, guys. You can't even say that word. Anyway, Kai Havertz, he comes in and he can play that sort of role, that 10 role, and he needs the minutes. So in that sense, it all fits in perfectly. Throwing Billy into that 8 role, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't get the best out of him, and you want to get the best out of him. I think in a double pivot, it could probably do well. Let's move swiftly along.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on, Nischal.
Make a quick point to that. Playing Billy Gilmour as an 8 is like playing Mason Mount on a wing. It works. You can do it.
Yeah.
It's not the same. He's not as good as on the wing as he is as an 8. So, sure, we can play him as an 8, but if we're giving him a game, his first start back in, what is it now, 9 months, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to play him out of position where we can actually afford to play him in his position, get him back into the groove, and especially ahead of, as we'll touch on again, a really big period with a lot of games, a lot of important clashes, home and away in different competitions. So, it just makes more sense play him in his natural position as we should have any player.
No, absolutely. This is a very good comment here from Connor. Ameya's thinking I'll miss the channel. Thank you, Connor, for this mind-blowing, analytical comment from you. This is exactly what we expected. Moving swiftly along, boys. Expectation of, I suppose, rotation in this game. I think it's safe to say that there will be a lot of rotation. Now the question is how many. I'll go to Ameya first. Ameya, obviously Kepa starting, Billy Gilmour's in. So we already know those two. From your expectation with the games that are coming up in December as well, with action-packed, schedule, what are the sort of rotations you think that you would want to see?
I think definitely both are fullbacks, not risking Reece James and Chilwell at all. I think we can get Azpilicueta and probably Emerson. I don't think Alonso's played since the West Bromwich Albion.
He's finished. Listen, by the way, I don't know. Sorry to cut you here, Ameya.
Sure.
I had Mark Stevens. You guys probably know Mark Stevens, and he's got some intel every now and then. And he had some really good intel about Alonso. I'm not sure if you guys saw this video. And he was saying that Frank Lampard has this policy where before the start of the training session, as they're all the players are coming in, he generally has a word with each of them, just like a quick sort of one-on-one, I suppose. Since that incident that Alonso had in against West Brom, how he didn't show up in the dugout again, second half, and obviously Frank blew up. Frank's never spoken to Alonso since then, apparently, since that incident. So, which is pretty intense. So I don't think he may be in the bench, but I don't think he's going to feature at all. But carry on, man.
Yeah, I mean, worst case, you could give him another game because, as Nischal mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter, right? This game, just for a little, maybe, attracting potential suitors in the January transfer window, someone to take him on loan or someone to buy him permanently. So I wouldn't mind giving him a game, but hopefully it's Emerson. I think at least sometimes he shows a little flashes of brilliance, and like Alonso. So I think that Emerson and Azpilicueta could come in on the fullbacks. Then I think Thiago Silva's obviously not going to play this game. I don't think he trained even. So I think that,
see you later, guys. I'm not playing this game.
Yep. So I think Rudiger could come in. He actually did pretty well, against Newcastle, and I think against Sevilla as well. So I think Rudiger could come in.
This season, Rudiger's been all right, to be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. And to partner him, I think I'd go with Christensen. Why risk Zuma again? Just bets the whole squad. To be fair. But I think
at this rate, Nischal and Ameya and myself will all get into the team as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think up front is where the issue is, right? Because I think I think Tammy will play through the middle, especially because Giroud started both the Sevilla as well as the Leeds game. So I think that Tammy could probably start up front in this game. He could get a couple of goals again, and you take the competition to Giroud once again. You scored 4, and then probably I'll get a hat trick as well. But I think Werner's going to play on the wing today. I think throughout the course of the season, we've been noticing that Werner hardly ever gets rest, and he doesn't need a rest. That's the sort of player he is. So I think that I have a feeling that he could start. I think Pulisic will start as well. Don't know for sure. Or we could even see Havertz on the wing. Yeah.
We don't have a winger, so I think Pulisic has got to start.
Exactly, I think he's got to start, and then so I think that's where the issue is, right? I think midfield as well, as you mentioned, you could play Jorginho and Billy Gilmour together, and the third player. Once again, it depends on Frank Lampard's choice. I think it could be the 4-2-3-1 with Havertz in the attacking midfield position, but then we lack another, defensive winger. So defensive winger. I'm sorry. So we lack another, winger on there. So I think that. I think Pulisic and Werner might start this one, so I'm praying that we could take them off swiftly and get someone like probably Henry Lawrence, who's trained with the squad, or Angerin as well. So if we could get a couple of those guys on later on in the game once we've sealed it, I think that would be excellent. But I think that Werner and Pulisic are the only ones who started the Leeds game. Pulisic Pulisic didn't even start the Leeds game, but he came on pretty early, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think those two are the only ones who I think will play from that Leeds game. But apart from that, I think the entire squad's going to be rotated.
Nischal, you kind of agree with what Ameya said in terms of the rotation players, pretty much a whole new back five with the keeper, including so right back, centre backs, pretty much a different sort of midfield as well up front. Is that what you're sort of thinking, or perhaps not that many rotation?
No, of course, I'm happy to rotate. First of all, we have to. The group is set in stone. We've won the group. Sevilla come in second. Krasnodar would usually be playing for something, but they're guaranteed to finish third because their head-to-head record with Rennes is better. Every single position in the group is set. There's nothing to play for. So I'll go full out rotations. In terms of attack, I think it's harder to make rotations because pretty much everyone has actually got minutes when you think about it. There's not been, bar maybe Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's out anyway. There's not really an attacker who's been ostracised and hasn't really played. So in terms of Christian Pulisic, I said we should start him. And I had some people saying, oh, you sure he's going to play a lot soon? But look, he's been injured. We need to get him back to fitness. Doesn't mean he has to play the full 90. But if there's any game to start him in, to ease him back in, it's the same with Havertz, He had this illness, which maybe we didn't expect it, but it really took a lot out of him, which none of us expected for a fit young 21-year-old, but he needs to get back to it as well. So, start both of them, get them off after, 55 minutes. And then the defence, absolutely. We've got an amazing back five right now. Give them all a rest. They all need to rest. I'm saying with you about the fullback partnership, Emerson, Aspi, no debate. In terms of centre-backs, I actually went for Christensen and Tomori. Obviously, it's very unlikely we're going to see Tomori play, which is a whole nother story. Really sad we, not played at all. But I want to see him play. It's been, I think, since Liverpool he played, and he did really well in that game. And then we didn't see him again, which didn't make sense. Thiago Silva's obviously getting his weekly rest at home. Rudiger, I wouldn't mind seeing. Don't really mind, but I'd prefer to see Christensen and Tomori. But really, I'm happy for any rotation. You can play as many youth players as we can get in, because obviously we've got. I think the rule, if I'm right, is you can draft any homegrown player and who's trained with a first team for 2 years or more if you submit it 24 hours before. So obviously Frank Lampard knows that. So Andrin will probably get some minutes. Maybe players like Lewis Bates, we're not sure, but full rotation.
I think Henry Lawrence been training with the first team as well, so he might come off the bench as well.
What position does he play, Henry Lawrence?
Henry Lawrence is. I think he could play. He plays as a wing back, winger, that sort of role. I think. Yeah.
Just quickly on the Tomori guys, it's interesting that you go. Obviously it was always going to come up. Just a quick fire sort of answer from both of you guys. Ameya, is it kind of over for Tomori at Chelsea? Perhaps in January he's looking for a loan move.
Yeah, I think a loan move, but I don't think his Chelsea career is definitely done yet. I think a loan move and he can probably mature someplace else and then come back as a much better player. I think that's a real probability, especially if we choose to move on, Rudiger and Christensen, not either of them. If we move both of them on in the next transfer window, especially we're also linked with Jimenez and whatnot. So I think that if we move both of them on, then I think Tomori could get a spot as the fourth centre-back. But I think he would definitely be looking to leave on loan in January because, to get a few minutes at least.
Yeah. Nischal, same likewise thoughts for you as well with Tomori. It's sad, isn't it?
It is really sad because we know he can play. We know he's a fantastic centre-back. And, we saw that especially last season. So more than being disappointed not seeing him this season, it's also really confusing because he wasn't playing badly. He just fell out of favour. He still has a future at the club, and I would happily see him loaned out. We were talking about loaning him to Everton in August. I think that would have been brilliant for him. Even Rennes, why not? And the thing is, a loan isn't be all end all for him because don't forget, Kurt Zouma after his injury went out on loan to Everton and Stoke. Andreas Christensen went on 2 loans to Borussia Mönchengladbach. Both of them went on loans and have come back into the squad. So he needs to go out, get some game time, and fight for his place again. Because let's be honest, he could come back in a year and Thiago Silva, still be there, but his role could be reduced. Antonio Rudiger could have been sold. Andreas Christensen might have moved on. So it's a patient game, to be honest. He needs to go out, get his game time, get back into form, come back and fight again. Simple as that.
No, absolutely agreed, man. I do hope that he does secure a loan move in January early, and it's not like stretched out. It goes somewhere and then starts really building, and hopefully that he can somehow come back next season and be part of this team. Now, guys, I want to talk about the importance. I know, Nischal, you kind of touched base on this particular thing where everyone in this group is pretty much done. You've got us in the first in the table. You got Sevilla. Krasnodar has locked the UEFA position. But how important is this game still for I suppose, I don't want to look into too much from Krasnodar's side. I think they're going to be excited to come to the bridge and perform anyway. But for our players that are sort of the fringe players that are not getting the minutes, it's equally important for them to perform well, one, and also the winning momentum and the unbeaten sort of run momentum is quite important as well. I'll start off with you, Ameya. Do you think this is a game that Frank will let the players know, whoever is starting, that, hey, you can't just drop off here, because you know that a bad result can just start a very bad run, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that if you look at the form table, right, in all competitions, I think that you can see clearly that, we see win, draw, win, and then you suddenly see that one L in the middle, and that can be quite demotivating, right? So I think that, I think it's very important that we carry on this winning momentum, because, I think Liverpool is the only game we've lost this entire season in 90 minutes, and that was we played 10 men against the champions for 45 minutes. So I think barring that, we've been excellent this season, considering our considering how inconsistent we were last season. I think we've been really well this season. So I would really love for us to continue that winning run and to, maintain that, get another win, get another clean sheet. I think we have the best defensive record in the Champions League. We've conceded just one goal. Yeah. So I think that, keep that momentum up. We go into the round of 16, and right now people are already calling us one of the outside favorites to win the Champions League. Don't let that drop, right? Don't let that drop. Keep that momentum up. Let people know that we're in it to win it, right? And we're not just here to make it out of the group stages anymore. So I think that could be a really important thing with Lampard, and he could instill that in the entire squad, and not just the first team players that play every week.
No, absolutely. Nischal, we've got Everton coming up in the weekend. Surely we would want to go into that match with a win. I think even a draw against Krasnodar at home could be a little bit demoralizing. Is that how you feel as well, that going into that Everton game, we should be, chest up and looking at them like, we just came off a big win against, in the Champions League?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Krasnodar is an interesting game because it's one we can afford to lose, but one we'd love to win. And either way, maybe it wouldn't be ideal if we lost, obviously, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. If you look at our form, of course, we're doing brilliantly. And even if we went into the Everton game with, let's say, not a win, right, we're still in the title race. We're still right at the top of the table. We're still in form. It's not a worst case scenario. I'm focusing more on the game, as we were saying, giving players chances, rotating, kind of experimenting with, but also taking advantage of having a free game in December, which is always notoriously a massive, massive month. We've got obviously a away trip to Everton. We're going to Arsenal on Boxing Day. We've got Aston Villa. We've got West Ham. We have a big, big month ahead, and it's really rare that we're getting not only a midweek game that is a massive, but one where we've already won the group, which puts us in a perfect position. So if we don't get a result, I won't be bothered, to be honest. Of course, I'd love to, and I want to see us get a win, but I won't be devastated. I won't be calling for Lampard's head or anything. We've done our job. We've done what we need to. We're in the perfect position. There's nothing to complain about. We've done our job so far. We just need to focus on getting a win, move on to Saturday, and get back into the flow of the Premier League.
No, absolutely, man. I agree. Look, as a fan, I don't think I'm going to be upset either if we don't get a win or we end up getting a draw. I think from a player's perspective, the players that are not getting the chance, I think they'll be so determined to do well here because they're getting the chance. The last thing they want to do is not perform well, and then obviously come Everton game and then they're not even in the looking. So you'd want to have these players be so hungry that they do so well that it puts some sort of a seed in Frank's head that can maybe some of these start perhaps against Everton? You never know. So I hope I see that from the players, that they really, really drive in and put that sort of confusion in Frank when he selects the Everton squad. But let's move swiftly onto our formations and lineups, which is going to be interesting here. We kind of talked about it, but let's get the official formation and lineup from each one of us. I'll go to you, Nischal, first up. Your formation, your lineup for this particular match against Krasnodar.
I will say 4-3-3 with 2-6, as we've already discussed. Kepa in goal. I'm trying to remember my tweet. Kepa in goal. Emerson, Christensen, Tomori, Athby, captain. Three-man midfield, Jorginho, Gilmour. I can't honestly see Kovacic play, to be honest. But I want to see Havertz for fitness. But I also don't want to risk him. I don't want to see him after 10 minutes on the floor really struggling. So maybe he's another one we bring on. So I would say Jorginho, Kovacic, Gilmour, and Pulisic, Abraham Werner. Because, it's an overly strong front line, let's be honest. But half our front line's injured. So, yeah, that's my take.
So you wouldn't go with your initial thought how you wanted perhaps Jorginho and Billy Gilmour and then perhaps
Havertz. I mean Werner's 2-6s and then Kovacic.
Okay.
It just means we're a bit short in the middle, a bit short in attack, but see how they do together. If we're losing 5-0 without Ben, we'll get Havertz on. Anyway, we'll be fine.
We're losing 5-0. I think it's going to be hard.
Football's unpredictable. You never know.
I think the lineup that you've just mentioned, Nischal, should still be strong enough to beat Krasnodar. No disrespect to Krasnodar. You know what? It's crazy, and I'll talk to Ameya about this. We haven't really touched on Krasnodar's got some really good players, by the way. They've got that Newcastle player from a long time ago. I don't know if you guys remember this. By the way, man, it's my boy, Worldwide Charles, back again.
Whoa.
I love it. Worldwide Charles, thanks for coming in, my man. But yeah, going back to my point, Ameya, I don't know if you guys remember, even Nischal as well, Remy Cabella or Sabella, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Remy Cabella, he used to play for a French team. Then he went to Newcastle. He did all right there. Do you guys remember this particular player, Remy Cabella?
Not really. No.
How young you guys are. He was probably playing in the Premier League.
Krasnodar team. Yeah. See if I recognise him.
Yeah. Remy Cabella. I think that's how you pronounce it. But yeah, he's a very good player. Then they've got Marcus Berg up front. He's another very, very good player. So, hopefully these guys, if they are playing, it's going to be a nice showing. But yeah, Ameya, your lineup and your formation, brother.
Yeah, I would go with the 4-2-3-1. Or the 4-3-3, probably the 4-3-3. I'll go with the 4-3-3. Obviously, Kepa in goal, as Frank mentioned, and then Azpilicueta, Emerson is the fullbacks. Slight disagreement. I think I'd go with Rudiger and Christensen, and I don't think Tomori is going to play this one. And then I think this is what I would do personally. I don't know if Frank would go for it, of course, but I'd play Gilmour as the 6. And play Kovacic and Havertz alongside him. Go for the attacking lineup.
Agent calling. Get me out of here. I can't get a match against Krasnodar. Get me out.
Yeah, no, but I think quite frankly, everyone knows that Jorginho's on his way out, right? It's not even a secret anymore. So I think that might as well give Gilmour a couple of minutes. And I think Gilmour did bend Jorginho after lockdown as well. Yeah, I think in the Crystal Palace game, in the game in which Gilmour did get injured, I think he started the game ahead of Jorginho, and Jorginho came on as a substitute. So I think that it could be, but yeah, I do think Jorginho is going to play this one. But if I could, then it would be Gilmour, Kovacic, and Havertz, and I think that could be really, really nice. Then get them off later. That's not an issue, right? Once you're in the lead, once you're in the driving seat, you can get them off. I'd much prefer being in the driving seat and then taking them off rather than risking it, losing, and then getting them on, trying to get the win. So I think that I think we could start with that. And up front, well, short of options, I think I'd have to pick the same front line as Nischal mentioned. It's going to have to be Werner, Pulisic, and Tammy Abraham for me.
Brilliant, man. I think That's a solid team, man. Before I give my lineup and formation, I'll ask Nischal score prediction.
3-0 Chelsea.
Oof, I love it. Ameya.
3-1.
Oh, Kepa, come on, get lost. I knew you were going to do that. I thought it was your man.
Kepa's coming back. We get to see his redemption layout. No clean sheet.
Ameya, that's your man. You have a 7-page thread on Kepa, and this is the gift you give. Oh, man. Nah, you know what? That's it. You're a red card for you, bro. For me, my formation, 4-3-3, obviously. You know what the crazy part is? Few people have been suggesting when I did the poll, 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, whatever the case is. And I was like, man, no way we are playing that formation again. Sorry, excuse me, guys. So, yeah, I think it's 4-3-3 for me. Kepa, obviously, to start. Azpilicueta, Rudiger deserves to play. I think he's been very good this season whenever he's got that little opportunity. So it'd be very disheartening if he doesn't get the chance. So Rudiger for me. I think Zuma needs to rest as well, along with Thiago Silva. So I agree with you guys. So it'll be Christensen. Sadly for Tomori, I think he needs to find a loan and leave first thing January. As soon as that window opens, 31st, December, he's celebrating. He's, up and down, As soon as the clock turns 12, get my agent and get me a loan deal sorted.
10 phone calls coming in. It's all right. Time to leave.
See you later, guys. I'm out of here for this party. And then he's joining someone else's party, some other club's party. Left back for me, Emerson. I think Emerson did very, very well against, was it Rennes that he played against? I think he played against Rennes, I believe. No, sorry, Sevilla. Played against Sevilla. Yeah. And he played really well. So I would have to, award him with another match here. In the midfield, I will go with the double pivot. So I'll go with Jorginho and Jorginho and Billy Gilmour, because we know Billy Gilmour is starting. So and they will complement each other. I will go with, did I say 4-3-3? Wrong, incorrect. That's not the formation. 4-2-3-1. Correction, guys. Pay attention when I'm talking. 4-2-3-1. And so the number 10 is going to be Kai Havertz for me. In the wing, it will be Pulisic in the right wing, because we have no one else, to be honest. And left wing, Timo Werner, they can swap over whatever they want to do. We really don't have Ziyech, don't have Hudson-Odoi. And up front, Tammy Abraham, because Giroud's been getting a lot of minutes. So time for Tammy to shine. Hopefully he bags a lot of goals in this match against Krasnodar. Really puts a bit of confusion in Frank's mind. But I think Giroud has got it sort of down back for the time being. But yeah, so overall, guys, 4-2-3-1, Kepa, Azpilicueta, Rudiger, Christensen, Emerson, Jorginho, Billy Gilmour, Kai Havertz, Werner, Pulisic, Tammy. I think that's a strong team that can give Krasnodar a 5-0 whooping that they'll remember for the rest of their life. So and that's what they deserve as well. So yeah, guys, I'm excited for the match for tomorrow. I know it's a friendly, but still, it's whenever Chelsea's playing in the Champions League, and it'll be good to get a finish off the group with a win as well, and then going into the Everton game. Everton in a bit of a downward sort of form at the moment, so it'll be good to go with the win up against them. Some final thoughts from yourself, Nischal and Ameya, before we go. Nischal first.
It's very rare we get a situation like this where it's a final match of a Champions League and we've got nothing to play for. Look back to last season. We had to beat Lille on the final day, and even then we almost lost it because of Loic Remy's last goal. So we're very privileged to be in this position. Not to mention, it's big improvement from finishing second last season to winning the group comfortably this season. I think we're very lucky to have a chance to rest players, rotate, give other players a chance, and also look at what players can we bring into the squad, what players do we need to move on, and what do we need to do going forward. But it should be an interesting game, definitely one with less pressure for the players, for the fans, for Frank, and we'll just have to see how it goes. But it's definitely a great opportunity for some other lads to shine.
Absolutely. Ameya, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I think I agree with Nischal, completely. Absolutely nothing to add there. It's a privilege to get such a game in this, especially in December. And I think this could be the sort of exit interview for a couple of players looking to move on in January, looking for other, I think so a few players will probably try to have leave in the summer. I think the club would have told them, you're free to leave. Look what your agent can get you. But then, because of the financial situation of the clubs, then I think a lot of them might not have been able to afford such players. So I think this could be a sort of farewell game, maybe. I don't know. But then hopefully I think the players step up to the task and prove their worth, because they're not bad players, right? They just have better players ahead of them in the squad who are getting the job done. So I think they're not bad players by any means. So I think they would get into most teams in the world at the moment. So I think that hopefully they can put on a good showing, and it'll probably give Frank a bit of headache as well for the next game against Everton.
No, absolutely, man. Yeah, Nischal and Ameya, especially Nischal in this particular thing, that we are privileged to be in this particular position where we've come first, and this match we can try different things, bring on some players, and rest some players, some key players as well, up against the big fixture that's coming up. Guys, thank you so much for joining, Nischal and Ameya. I've got all your description, all your information for social media stuff in the description. Guys, please follow these two individuals. Honestly, they are such humble human beings, and you're not going to be disappointed when you have an interaction with these guys. So please follow these people. And to every single one that has joined in and now throughout this session, thank you so much for coming in. Please smash that like button. It helps the channel out a lot. And if you're here for the first time, subscribe and hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Look out for my live stream post-match tomorrow. I've got a special guest coming up for that, which is going to be very, very good, straight after the match finishes. So don't tell my manager, anyone, guys. I'm sort of, it'll be during work time. They won't know, and I'm going to be live streaming. It's going to be cool. But yeah, until next time, guys. See ya.